At one point, Ken Griffin Jr. was going to be the next home run king. At one time, I think overall, Ken Griffin Jr. at one time was better than Barry Bonds. When you talk about complete players, Ken Griffin Jr., they used to call him the kid. I think in 1987, Ken Griffin Jr. also became the youngest player in MLB history to get drafted #1 overall. And I think, hell, he was just 17 years old, 17, 18 years old. And from the very start, when the Seattle called him up, he exploded. I believe in his first game in the Major Leagues, he hit a home run, if I'm not mistaken. I think what hurt Ken Griffin Jr. over the years when he used to make them diving catches and them great defensive plays in the outfield, that hindered his career for a long time. It cost him to lose a lot of games. I think one time he fractured his wrist. He messed up his elbow at times. But when you look at all-around player, Ken Griffin Jr. was every bit a 5-2 player. And I wish he had more opportunities to win a World Series in his career. He kind of reminded me also of Tony Gwynn. I know Tony Gwynn played in a World Series, but it's so many great players never won a World Series. But Ken Griffin Jr., to me, still to this day, he really should have been, if you want to be honest, Ken Griffin Jr. really should have been an all-time top 5 player. But right now, just being honest, because of the injuries, I'm still going to say Ken Griffin Jr. is a top 15, top 20 player of all time, even with the injuries. But he was a once-in-a-lifetime player. But now I look back at one of the golden ages of baseball from the 1980s, from the 1990s. Those actually were some golden days for Major League Baseball. You talking about, you had a young Mark McGwire, you had a young Tony Gwynn, you had a young Barry Bonds, you had a young Ken Griffin Jr. All them guys played in one of the golden eras of baseball back in the 1980s and 1990s. Then you had the great wizard. You had Ozzie Smith. You had Cal Ripken Jr. A-Rod came in the mid-90s. Derek Jeter was the #1, was a top pick also back in 1992. So you had a great golden age of baseball that people don't even talk about. So during the 1980s and the 1990s, you had so many Hall of Famers that played the game of baseball during that time as a kid back in the 80s and the early 90s. Baseball was one of my favorite sports people. And then as far as the pitchers, you had Greg Maddux, you had the big unit, Randy Johnson, you had Roger Clemens, you had Pedro Martinez. You had so many great pitchers and position players in baseball. But getting back to Ken Griffin Jr. To me was the closest thing to the great Willie Mays. If Ken Griffin Jr. would have stayed healthy, I believe before his career was over with, Ken Griffin Jr. could have hit over 800 home runs. He actually would have been the home run king over Barry Bonds, if you want to be honest. But that's my baseball take for today, everybody. I'm J.R. Leonard. I'm the new voice of sports. Like, follow, share, repost some video.